I'm Alex Witten-Hannah. I'm a local lawyer. I've been a lawyer now for 50 years, and 20 years ago, or a little over 20 years ago, Genevieve Beecroft came into my office and told me that we had to save this wonderful old building that was down on Takapuna Beach. It had been sold by its developer owner Bob Green to a South Auckland house remover and for $100,000, and Genevieve had caught on to the fact that the Takapuna Council, as it then was, had made it clear that the house was not to be transported away from the North Shore if there was an alternative site on the North Shore. Well, Bob Green claimed that there was no alternative site, and that's why he sold it for $100,000 to the South Auckland fellow. In the event, with injunction proceedings in the High Court, we stopped Bob Green selling the house, and Genevieve came up with the money needed to shift it from its Takapuna beachfront position up here to Fred Thomas Drive, and the rest is really history that other people can talk about. But I think it was a pleasure and privilege for me, albeit somewhat demanding, to get that injunction proceeding away in the High Court to stop its removal, because removal was imminent.
I knew about the lake house. I went to the parties and the fundraisers and things when the house was on the beach, and then I was teaching at the time full time and I was busy, and Genevieve rang me up and said we had a treasurer and he's gone to Christchurch and we need a treasurer, so it's you. So the first annual meeting of the lake house, which was held in the house where the roof had holes in it and it rained and the water actually came through the meeting, I became the treasurer. So the first annual meeting, so 1 year into but before that they had saved the house and they had built the foundation. So I'm not a true trooper from the very first, but I've been here since the first annual meeting. We realised that this house, because it's a domestic sized house, the rooms were not really big enough for classes that were viable. You've got to have, say, 10 pupils to make the class viable, and the rooms were really big enough, so we offered the barrack building, and so we fundraised various.
What did you do for fundraising? What was
initially, the lady who was here called Cathy Wildermont, she did the gardens. She was her big thing around here, and other volunteering, and her husband was the director of Haven and Rollett, and they'd been looking for a project for their, I think, 60th anniversary of the big construction firm. Their 50th anniversary, they'd done a house in Takapuna that was Frank Sargison's house, and they were looking for a project that she persuaded them to do us. So they were our major sponsors, but we still had to raise a great deal of money beyond that. But they were the sponsors by how much money have you got? We've got X amount, I think it was something like $200,000, and okay, we will do it. And there was no itemised bill, so they actually replaced the roof. They did a great deal they did all the foundations, they put it all on, they put it all together. They built the deck and everything, and then just said, well, that was your money spent. I'm quite sure it took a great deal more money then. So that was the way the sponsorship happened. Yes, we had some very good parties, and we had another one. Helen decided to have one as a birthday party for her car, which was a Morris Oxford. It's a very good party venue because, in fact, you couldn't break anything or hurt anything. You know, once we did it up, it got a bit precious, and you couldn't have parties anymore. But we were in our 50s, and it was good fun. Remember, Genevieve probably doesn't remember now, but she and Fiona were under the house. The fire regulations people decided that the rubbish that was under the house was a fire hazard, like, you know, what builders' rubbish is like. And she and Fiona got under the house, which is supposed to be a metre space, but it's not quite a metre or anything. And they were lying down, pushing the rubbish ahead of them, and Genevieve sat up and hit her head on the beam and was knocked unconscious, and Fiona's under the house with Genevieve out cold. But eventually she came around and they sort of pulled her out again and gave her a glass of water. But, those are the sort of things that. And we had, when we first had the wood carvings, and I was quite involved with that, and the young wood carvers who are now sort of men with families and quite respectable, were great. A, dope smokers, and B, drinkers, and C, they slept on the floor in the house. And that was sort of endless party. It was very good fun. Oh, well, me personally, I'm proud of the barracks building because I was the chair during that time, and that was a really good addition to the house because it ends up sort of looking like outhouses to an old house, and I think it chimes in very well. But mostly proud that after 20 years it's doing exactly what our vision was 20 years ago, and I think that's it. And we've had our ups and downs, we've had our managers come and go, it hasn't always been like that. This is really good. It's really, to be in a really good space after 20 years is excellent.